Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the tool carry tutorial. You can see I've actually given different color to the parts here, just editing the appearance of those to make them that brown color. You can do that just on the left side of the Part Studio. You can highlight each part and then right click them and edit appearance. And I've put that handle in place. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to draw the drawers, how to fit them together, and how to make them with the carcass so that they slide in and out of the carcass. And to do that, we're going to open a new Part Studio. So go ahead and click the plus symbol down the bottom left hand corner there. Click on the plus and Part Studio should be able to come up. So create Part Studio. You can create a second Part Studio here just for all the drawer parts. Okay. As I said before, some of this stuff will be a little bit more difficult, sort of the intermediate level. If you're a beginner, please go back and re-watch some of the tutorials in the earlier tutorial series. So let's first draw our pieces for our drawers, so our side pieces. Go ahead and draw some rectangles now. Essentially all these parts are rectangles with just different cutouts in them. We're going to have dovetail cutouts on the front of this rectangle. But we need to make this rectangle about 200 millimeters deep. Now that's a little bit smaller than the internal. If you can remember, internal size was actually 214, but we're going to make them 200 so that they essentially don't hit the very back of the cavity there, and you don't get a slam when you slide them in. We're going to make them 55 mil wide, and that's because with a 3 mil base on it you get 58, and if you remember our space was 62, so 58 minus 62 is 4. We're going to have about 4 mil gap. We're also going to draw our ends, which are also 55 wide, but they're going to be slightly shorter, 187. Now I worked out that size by essentially taking the internal size of the carcass, which is 564, dividing that by 3, and then taking 1 millimeter. Just the 1 millimeter adds that little bit extra space so the drawers don't slide against each other. We're going to make the drawers out of 12 millimeter thick material. So I'm going to draw a line here, 12 millimeters on the end of the drawer side, because that's how far in the dovetail is going to go. I'm going to use my line tool. I'm going to come down along that line. I'm not sure how far yet. Let's make it 12, and then put that at an angle coming towards the edge. And I'm not worried about what size the angle is just yet. So I'm going to make them 12. You know what? I think I'm actually going to change them to make it 15, just to give a little bit more space on each side there. Now the angle you can see is wrong at the moment. I need to go ahead and click my dimension tool and measure the angle. At the moment it says 47. Traditionally, dovetails are cut at 14 degrees, so 90 minus 14 should be 76. Type in 76 there and that'll give you the measurement. I'm going to use that equals tool again, just clicking, whoops, I think I must have undone it. Let's go ahead and make that 76. And then I'm going to use that equals tool there, click on that line and that line, making sure that they're equal in length, which will also make them equal in the angle. And there's the dovetail end. So let's go ahead and extrude that. You can see that's the tail end. Now I need to draw the same shape on the end of my end pieces here, but this one will be for our pins. So instead of removing the outside pieces, I'm going to be removing the inside piece like that, and it's going to be removed 12 mil in. I need to do that on both ends. So let's draw essentially that same shape again, 15 millimeters from the end, 76 degrees, removing the end. Alright, we'll call these draw side and draw end, and we're going to put them together in the assembly. And I should point out at this stage, if you make changes within your Part Studio and you've already assembled them, it will update those changes in the assembly. So that kind of makes it easy sometimes when you're not quite sure how something looks and you want to change it later. You can go ahead and put it together, see if it looks any good, and if it's not, go back and change it. You can see those pieces fit together now. I quite like the look of it now. So now I need to go ahead and cut the housing joint in the back of the drawers. You can see I've accidentally got one on the right side and one on the wrong side, so I'm just going to take that out, flip it over, and you can see now, because they're symmetrical, it can flip both ways. Need to draw the back piece now. Now my housing joint went halfway deep, so I just need to essentially take 12 mil off the length of the end, and that's how long my back should be. Okay, so I've got to draw a back now, and let's put in the base. The base is only going to be 3 mil thick. It's going to be the same length as the side and the same length as the end, or the same width as the end. You can see I've attached that there. So there's a drawer. Okay, so that's one drawer. We're going to actually add 3 of them in the assembly, which I'm not going to do just yet. We're going to draw draw fronts just now as well. So they're going to fit into that little slot in the carcass that you just saw. The draw fronts should be 193 millimeters long. I think the draw fronts will actually need to draw 2 different ones, because one will need to be 193 and then another, I think the middle one needs to actually be smaller. And that's because the space on the end, you can see it has a little step on the end. So we need to allow for that space, and it's only on the end, it's not on the middle. Now I'm drawing a little knob for the handles at the moment, using the revolve tool, which I believe I've shown in another video, how to revolve shape around an axis there. It's just a simple knob, just a straight with a little bit of a curve on it. And I'm attaching it to the drawer front, not to the drawer, but to the drawer front. Okay, giving them different color now. Now, as I said before, the drawer fronts, there are 2 different sizes. So one of them needs to be a little longer, and it goes on the outside edge. Worked out that actually should be 196. The middle one should be 188, which is just 1 millimeter wider than the drawer itself. I'm going to give it a slightly different brown color so that you can tell the difference between them, but later on I will change them as well. And I'm just renaming them now, drawer front A and drawer front B, attaching that to the end. Okay, so as I've said before, we need to make 3 of these drawers. In the past studio we've only drawn 1, but we need to make 3 in the assembly. So just going and copying, highlighting all these and then copying these, pasting them in, just arranging them in the assembly now. Alright, now in the assembly for the carcass, you can actually see you can insert assemblies. So I'm actually going to that second assembly I've got, and I've inserted all 3 parts. So that'll show you all 3 of the drawers. So now using the slide mate, I can actually click on the very front corners of both the base and the front corner of where that base sits, and I can set them so that they slide along those front edges. And if you do it with the very front corner, the front edge of it, that'll mean that it'll slide in the same direction you want it to. You can see the blue pin there is facing out, that the blue pin is that Z axis, and it slides along the Z axis. Now for this one, this is actually going to be the middle one, so I'm going to offset it from the edge there so that it's actually sitting in the middle, just pushing it along the x-axis using that offset option within the slide mate. Okay, so now we've got 2 drawers in using the slide mate. We're going to go ahead and put the 3rd drawer in now, again clicking the very front edge of the base, and then with the front edge where that base actually sits, sliding it in there. Okay, I'm going to put limits on all of these, so there should be a limit for all the slides, so they only come out 200 millimeters. So the maximum should be 200 millimeters, the minimum should be 0, and that'll mean that they don't slide out all the way. Okay, we're going to go ahead and snap on the middle drawer cover, or the middle drawer front, and then the 2 outer ones, I'm going to use the corners of the 2 outer ones, but then I'm going to offset them so that they cover that little rebated edge on there. I just need to offset them 8 millimeters out. And then we have it. All those drawers now sitting in. I think one just needed an adjustment there. and I'm going to make all them the right color. So now you can see all the drawers slide in and slide out. They only come out 200 millimeters. Go back in as you need it. And I'm going to rename some of the assemblies now. So the last one is the final product. There's the assembly for the drawers, and then the part studio for the carcass and the drawers as well. Renaming those in the program. Now I'm simply just giving a final touch by giving some of the edges, some of the outside edges on my project, just a little fillet, a 3mm fillet, which is kind of what we do with the trimmer. In real life, we round the edges of it. That's what a fillet is essentially doing there. So I'm making sure that all the outside edges just got that nice fillet on them. Kind of makes it look nice in the overall project. And that's the final project. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial for tool carry. Hopefully it was helpful to you to see how the process comes together. See you in the next one.